Shalom. I'd like to talk to you today about a remarkable event that takes place in this week's Torah reading. When Lavan and Yaakov are prepared to part company from each other, the Torah records Vayashav Lavan limkomo, v'Yaakov halach lidarko. At face value, this verse seems to indicate that after all of the strife and all the tension that existed between Yaakov and Lavan, finally they were able to make peace and part company in a friendly manner. The Meshach Chachma sees a very different message in this verse. The Meshach Chachma points out that Yaakov, the great tzaddik, the righteous one, Jacob, was living in the house of Lavan for a very, very long time. Yet the Torah records Vayashav Lavan limkomo. At the end of the day, after living with Yaakov, he still went back to his original place. He wasn't able to take advantage or learn from all of the lessons that Yaakov was teaching through his daily life. Vayashav Lavan limkomo. He just went back and remained the same person he was before he met Yaakov. On the other hand, V'Yaakov halach lidarko. Jacob went on his way. The Meshach Chachma understands that to be teaching us that Jacob continued on his path of spiritual growth. There's something very important in this observation of the Meshach Chachma. It is hard to capture spiritual moments in our lives. Sometimes we go through life a little bit cynical, wondering if inspiration is even possible. Here the Meshach Chachma reminds us that really it's up to us to capture spiritual moments. Lavan had a unique opportunity in living in close quarters with Yaakov, but still he was unable to capture that spiritual moment. We, on the other hand, must try to be more like Yaakov. V'Yaakov halach lidarko. Continue on our spiritual path by seeing to it that when we do come in contact with moments of inspiration or spiritual hotspots, that they leave a positive effect on us. There are certain things we can do, certain strategies we can employ to make that happen. For example, we could put ourselves in the position to be inspired. We could put ourselves in contact and develop relationships with people who we find inspiring. Reach out to them. Don't wait for them to reach out to you. Reach out to them and say, I want to have a relationship with you. I'd like to learn Torah with you. I'd like to attend services in your synagogue. Put yourselves, we should all put ourselves in the position to be inspired. Something else we can do, we could create the mental attitude where we expect to be inspired. When we go to synagogue, when we attend tefillah, when we attend shiurim, Torah classes, go there with an open mind that we will be inspired. And finally, when inspiration comes, we have to find a way to preserve it so that we can access it later. When we are feeling spiritually dry or uninspired, we can go back to that moment. We could make a mental note, and sometimes I've even suggested to people to write down what it was about a particular moment that was spiritually inspirational to them, so that when they need to, they'll be able to access that moment at another opportunity. There are two paths we can go down. The Vayashav Lavan limkomo path, where even when we have moments of inspiration, when we meet people or have certain events in our lives that are inspirational, we end up being the same person we were beforehand. That's the Lavan path. The path that the Meshach Chachma says is a mistaken one. To me, it's almost a tragic path. Or we can walk down the path of Yaakov. V'Yaakov halach lidarko. Yaakov continued on his path. He continued looking for moments of inspiration, looking for moments of religious growth. In the American Jewish scene, we often are cynical and feel that our institutions do not inspire us enough. And that may in fact be the case, and it may be true that our institutions have to work harder. But there's something that each and every one of us can do to make sure that we capture moments of spiritual inspiration, have ways to access them, expect to be inspired, and keep our minds open to the possibility of inspiration as we walk down the Yaakov path together. V'Yaakov halach lidarko. Shabbat shalom.